So we're bringing back the gameplay commentary here because this is a video topic that I don't think really needs any tweets or any updates and stuff. I think I can just use my own verbal skills to encapsulate what a lot of fans have been saying on social media without shining a particular spotlight on any one person in particular. Because there are a bunch of people going out there and talking about the Vancouver Canucks and expressing a lot more negativity and pessimism compared to earlier in 2025. This week has been one for the ages for the Vancouver Canucks, not in terms of what they did or what they're going to do, but straight up in terms of how folks are responding to it. The amount of Jim Benning, Patrik Allvin comparisons I have seen been made the past few days has been astounding. And I wanted to dive into why folks are calling Vancouver's recent trend of moves a quote-unquote failure. It all started with the Evander Kane acquisition. And that one, okay, look, that's a funny way to segue into this entire topic because, yeah, I think it's very easy to make that connection. Oh, why are Canucks fans hating on a Canucks move? Because they got Evander Kane. I think the majority, actually, of Canucks fans were fuming the second the trade was announced and the second the trade was talked about. But over the course of day 1, day 2 of Evander Kane being a Canuck, I'd started to see more and more people become more open to the idea of Evander Kane being a Canuck and cheering the guy on and wanting to see the guy do whatever it is he's capable of doing at the NHL level with Vancouver. But that started a big fire for a lot of Canucks fans. Oh, this management is such a failure because they're going out there and replacing a bad locker room presence in JT Miller with a potentially even worse one in Evander Kane. One who at least had a much worse reputation in the past. It's the Vancouver Canucks saying that they could be interested in getting Kane signed up and bringing him back on. And that is also seen as a short-sighted move. What is Vancouver doing signing Evander Kane, who's 34 years old? This team is stuck in trying to remain competitive for Quinn Hughes' sake, and it's going to damage the team and make them bad for longer because Evander Kane is old and he's not going to be good for as long as however his next contract is going to be. That was part 1. Part 2 came out a few days after when it was revealed that the Vancouver Canucks were going to sign Conor Garland to a potential 6-year extension. And a lot of fans went out there and said, oh, wait a minute, why are they going to do that? Conor Garland's going to be 35 when that contract expires. Why would Vancouver lock themselves in and give a 6x6 deal to a guy who's already in this age range? Oh, big L Patrik Allvin. And then the third straw that I saw everybody was talking about, it was this pick, 15th overall at the 2025 NHL Entry Draft. And you could divide this actually into 2 parts. First, it's the fact that the Vancouver Canucks actually used the pick. The fact that they weren't able to trade it away. It's a Patrik Allvin failure. They weren't able to trade away the draft pick. They were forced to use it, and they couldn't get the top 6 center that they wanted. Boo-hoo. And then the second part of that is the fact that they took Braeden Cootes, who happens to be a guy who plays in that similar physical Bo Horvat-esque Chandler Stevenson type of mold, and not the higher upside, higher ranked Swede in Victor Eklund, who is also available at 15, who ended up going the very next pick to the New York Islanders. I've been seeing so many folks talking about Patrik Allvin, L's after L's after L's. What are they doing? They're stuck in this sort of mentality of older guys and trying to win now, and they're not capitalizing on higher upside swings. It's been really overwhelming the past few days, just seeing all the negativity about the Vancouver Canucks bring itself up to the forefront. I've seen so many people start turning on the Vancouver Canucks, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they kept the pick, they kept Besser, they kept Suter, they had these assets, they wanted to trade, they couldn't trade them, now the players are going to leave and go to free agency for nothing, and the draft pick was used to select a guy who didn't have the highest ceiling out of all the guys available at that spot. These are all narratives that I've started to see on Canucks Twitter, especially the past few hours, and I'm just starting to get a little bit, kind of feeling a little different here. Like, am I the only one who's actually on board with most of this stuff? I don't know. Don Taylor said similar things on Twitter after the Canucks drafted Cootes. He was like, yeah, Evander Kane, Conor Garland, Cootes, I like it. And a lot of folks were hating on Donnie after in the replies, like, oh, it's time to go to bed, Grandpa. Like, what in the world? Where did that come from? It is so intriguing to me how Vancouver Canucks fans seem to be so divided on this stuff. And maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just a very small part of the Canucks fan base that is so vehemently against everything the team has done ever since the disaster season that was 2024-2025, how they weren't able to make the trades they wanted to make, how they weren't able to contend the way they wanted to contend, how the captain is probably going to be leaving, how the sky is falling and everything is bad, and the quicker that Patrik, Allvin, and Rutherford mess up and get out of here, the quicker the team can move on to greener pastures, or the quicker Aquilini will sell the team, who knows? It just seems like all the angst and frustration of fans has been really nasty the past few days compared to any of the other few days we have seen this season. And I get it, there's been more activity, which prompts more response and conversation about it, but I just don't really agree with it. That's the thing. Like I said in the Evander Kane trade video, I actually was on board with the trade. The very first moment I saw the trade, I was like, huh, they got him for a fourth. Okay, that's top six help. And then it was like, okay, they gonna sign Conor Garland. All right, now he's not gonna leave. 6x6, it's not Louis Eriksson anymore. This guy, a lot better than Eriksson, and the cap is going way up. And then for Braeden Cootes, yes, he's not Victor Eklund, but I can understand the Canucks' preference to take Cootes instead of the other Swede there. I don't know, am I the only one, aside Don Taylor, who's like fairly optimistic with the way this team has been shaping themselves up and making their decisions? Like, I don't even want to say that I'm the biggest Evander Kane fan on the planet. I just think that it's an acquisition that makes the team better versus what they would have had out of a fourth-round pick. I don't know. Like, this fan base is in shambles right now, and I do not know how else to respond to it. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about the Vancouver Canucks' decisions over the past few weeks? And do you think this narrative of Patrik Allvin not being able to do what it is that he wants to do, always failing at doing the stuff that he wants to do, is that a big deal? They couldn't trade Brock, they couldn't trade Suter, they couldn't trade the 15th overall pick, they couldn't do this, couldn't do that, they drafted a lower ceiling guy, they went out and grabbed Evander Kane. Is that all problematic to you? That's the question I have in the comments section below. Now I'm gonna go do whatever else it is that we can do on a Friday night, because it's now 9:15 p.m. as I'm talking to this microphone, and the draft went on for a gosh darn 5-something hours, and we're feeling fantastic about that, right? We're going to do it all over again tomorrow, folks, so stick with it for that. But for right now, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Vancouver Canucks and Patrik Allvin? Is he a failure? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.